So, Tim, I'll just start with this. How did your brother pull this off? The longest course ever in major championship history, won by the oldest dude in major championship history to do it. How did he do this?
It was an awesome week for us, and he hit a lot of fairways, and we used both a driver and a two wood, and I think that combination of both, knowing when we needed the extra length to hit the driver, and when we needed 280 to 290, but in the fairway, that's when we relied on the two wood.
You've been by his side this entire time. How proud are you of what he's been able to accomplish, from changing his swing at times to equipment to his diet that's now famous? Just how would you sum up this transformation of Phil Mickelson to do this at 50?
I'm just super, super happy for him because I've seen how hard he's worked over the last few years to maintain the ability to compete at a very high level, whether it's the nutrition or trying to hit the ball further, changing his swing with Andrew Getson, his instructor, to just daily stretching and recovery. All that stuff as you get older becomes very important. And he puts in the time. His will and desire to win is as high as it's ever been. And so to be a part of him creating that history was absolutely incredible.
Was this one of those Phil Mickelson kicks to Father Time? The kind where he can kick it above his head?
It very possibly could have been. I mean, obviously, it was a very special week for us. And to see that sort of pandemonium type chaos there on 18 where we had to go through the crowd, while it was chaotic, it was a special, fun chaos for us.
Could you enjoy that moment with the crowd there? I mean, we all were watching on TV just in amazement, but can you even enjoy what's happening around you? Are you trying to keep your brother safe, or are you just trying to make sure no one takes a 7-iron out of the bag?
So a little bit of both. I mean, it's crazy. Part of my job is to try to keep him safe, especially when we hit it offline. So I got to make sure nobody's coming up. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is a Monica Seles situation. You're like, how could that ever even happen? And so that's always in the back of my mind. But I remember right before he hit the second shot, and I'm looking around and I'm like, there's only about 12 or 13 cops. They got no chance to stop anybody. But as soon as he hit his second shot, I noticed there were about 4 of the officers that huddled right around him. So I knew he was taken care of. I now had to get myself through that crowd, and I actually almost got trampled on myself. I was pushed from behind and almost lost my balance. And I looked to my right and I saw an officer just sort of going like this and pushing the crowd away. And I'm like, I need to be behind that guy. And I got right behind him and just went right through.
So you couldn't enjoy it at the time, probably, right?
I enjoyed it as soon as I got through that crowd. I turned around and said, holy smokes, look at how many people are here. It was an absolute amazing experience listening to how much the crowd wanted Phil to win throughout the entire day. All of the chants, lefty, 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 go Phil. It was very special, and what a special moment for Phil, and I'm just very happy to be a part of it.
We've only seen that really one other time back in 2018 with Tiger. The scenes are almost identical. What does that say about Phil's place in golf history?
I think it's based on the tournament he won combined with the age. To be the oldest ever, that certainly was a big part of it. And yes, Phil and Tiger dueled it out for the last 25 years. And Tiger, had his great moment at the Tour Championship there in 2018. And I agree. I think there were a lot of parallels to how it looked coming up to the 18th green. And again, we're just very happy to be a part of it and very thrilled to have come out on top.
So take me through your eyes. What was it like being on the bag throughout this entire tournament? What did you see? What did you get the sense of that he could win this thing early on? What did you see late as he pulled it off?
Yeah, oftentimes in majors, Phil gets quiet. He gets uptight because it's a major championship.
He doesn't talk to you?
Well, no, he talks to me. Oh. He gets quieter than usual. And this week there was this eerily weird calm about him. And he's just like, hey, I'm going to stay focused. We're going to stay hit one shot at a time. And I'm like, who is this guy? But he did that the entire week. He never went ahead and thought about, hey, I'm going to go birdie 16, even though we're on the 8th hole, things like that. He stayed very focused on hitting the very next shot. And because of that, he was able to stay focused for every shot and basically not waste energy throughout the round. And I think that played a big part on both Saturday and Sunday, having enough energy to get through the entire round.
I don't know if you do this, but I want you to brag about yourself for a little bit. What maybe decision did you have that you look back on, you're like, man, that was a good call, what I told him to do there?
He mentioned it yesterday. I think the best thing I did yesterday was, again, throughout the entire week, Phil hit a lot of great golf shots, very committed, confident swings. And on Sunday, there were about 5 times in the first 6 holes that he basically said, oh, I didn't trust it. It wasn't committed. And he had just made bogey on number 6. And I just felt like it was time to say something. And I just said, bro, if you want to win this tournament, you're going to have to make committed swings. And from there on out, basically every swing was 100% committed and trusted it. And because I had said that on hole 6, I also kept reminding him, hey, commit to it, commit to it. And I maybe it played a part in it, who knows? But if I had to pinpoint anything, it would have been that moment.
To do this with your brother, brother and brother, I mean, that's just a special relationship in itself. But to have the type of relationship that you two guys have, to do what you guys have accomplished, can you put it into words? I mean, I know y'all talk about it all the time, but just how special is this trip for you two? Because a lot of brothers, maybe they don't have that same relationship.
Correct. We've had an unbelievable relationship our entire life. Never fought over anything. There's probably a big enough gap, but to be with him at this stage of his career and to have had a small part in him winning another major championship, I think that hug on 18 said it all. We just basically said we thanked each other for the parts that we played and basically said we loved each other and let's go celebrate.
Who cried first?
It's a good question. I'm not sure. I'll probably say me, but I wasn't focused on him once we hugged it out. So I'll probably say me.
So now what's next? He's about to turn 51. I mean, he's got time now left? I mean, what's next for you guys?
Yeah, just keep plugging along, keep doing what he's doing. Again, his will and desire to win is as high as I've ever seen it. And I've been around him for a long time. And so I don't think there's any slowing up for him. He's still going to be playing, 25, 30 weeks a year, trying to win every tournament. The ultimate for him would obviously be winning the U.S. Open, whether it's this year at Torrey Pines or the next 4 years. We're now exempt to play the U.S. Open for 5 years, so we don't need that sponsor's exemption that he was given last week, which is great. And so we know we have at least 5 more chances to try to win the U.S. Open to get him the Grand Slam.
Can he do it? I mean, based off what he did this past week, it seems like it's very a real possibility that he could pull something like this off again.
Yeah, there's no reason to think he can't. It's just a matter of doing it at the exact right moment. As a golfer and as a former coach, you're always talking about you focus on the process and you let the results come, but you never know if the results are going to come the exact week that you want. You hope they do. And that's what we're going to hope again. I mean, it worked last week and hopefully we can be primed and ready to go for Torrey Pines here in the middle of June.
Did you afterwards? What was he like afterwards? Well, after he won, was there a moment where you saw that it hit him? I mean, I'm sure afterwards where you're getting the trophy and you're hugging everybody, it's probably such a rush. But after it was all said and done, when all the interviews were done, did you see it kind of hit his face afterwards?
So I think I really noticed it when we were flying home, and probably 30 minutes before we landed in San Diego, he just looked over at me and said, holy smokes, we actually did this. Going through all the Twitter messages, like, no, it wasn't a dream. We did this. We created history. And I said, hell yeah, we did.
I love that. By the way, so I see that wall right behind you.
Uh-huh.
A picture of that crowd and you guys walking up would fit very nicely on that wall right behind you.
I agree. I think my caddy bib will look good there as well. Maybe a flag from maybe the 16th or 17th hole. There will be something there in the next month or two.
And I think Phil owes you at least a watch. At least a watch, right?
I'm going to make sure he watches this interview now.
Gotcha.